Hey everyone, this episode is about finger mobility because if you're a climber and you can't straighten and close your fingers, then you want to listen to this. I think that finger mobility is not talked about enough in the climbing world. And today I'm going to be joined by climbing physio legend Paul Houghoughi, also known as Huffy, to talk to us about if you should be able to straighten your fingers and fully close them, and if not, why that might be. I've been climbing for almost 3 decades, and I'm pretty proud that I can fully straighten and close my fingers. And I feel like we need to do more in this community to work on people's hand health. Hi.
Hello.
How's
Thanks for having me. Very good, thanks.
Thanks for coming. I'm going to start by asking Huffy 2 questions. First one, do you think all climbers should be able to fully straighten and fully close their fingers?
Not everyone.
Oh, I thought that was going to be a yes.
Yeah.
I guess there's a few maybe reasons why climbers might not be able to do that. We can get stuck into those in a little bit. But before that, do you think at least all climbers can benefit from improved finger mobility?
It's a complicated one. Probably get into a little detail to answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll answer that one at the end. So stay tuned if you want to know if finger mobility is going to improve I think it's going to improve your chances of not getting injured, but he's the expert and we'll find out why. Let's get stuck into the testing. So let's start by talking about straightening fingers. Like, is being able to straighten your fingers a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Do you think that climbers can work on it? How do we test it first? How do you test if your fingers are straight? Is it literally just straightening them?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing to check is, if you put your hands out like that, are they straight? And I'd be looking to see whether or not any have any sort of flexion that you're not able to get past. So
where might those restrictions be? Where might you feel them?
So if it's a healthy restriction, you're going to feel it on the palm side of the finger. And if it's something that's more complicated, you're going to feel it on the back side of the finger for 2 reasons, which we can go into now if you want to.
Are they quick reasons?
Yeah.
Go on then, hit us.
Either the bone's going to get a bit pinched, or a tendon's going to struggle to straighten it.
And if you feel it on the backside, are we saying that's when you maybe should seek kind of attention from a physio or medical attention? Not medical attention, that sounds very serious. But yeah, so if we're feeling it on the front, then maybe that's something we can stretch and that could be better. Yeah,
if it's not an acute injury, then and there's a stretch there, you can expect to improve your range if there's nothing going on the other side.
So if they can't straighten their fingers and the stretch is in the front, can they improve that, and what can climbers do?
Yeah, so you can definitely improve straightening the finger, the stretches in here. What you can do about it is just literally putting pressure not on the joint but below and holding tension, making sure your pressure is actually below this next joint, so all the force is here.
So you're supporting this joint, the top joint?
Yep.
Is it the dip or the pip?
Directly in line with your DIP, so that the force...
Your dip joint.
Very good. Yeah, pushing it back like that.
Dip and your pip.
Very good.
Yeah, it's like this?
Yep.
So the top, this little digit at the top, bent straight?
Bent. We want all the force to be there. And if you push here, the end of your joint will bend backwards and the force will be absorbed in this guy. So we want it to be on that joint.
It's so satisfying.
Very satisfying when you hit that right tension. Yeah. Afterwards, your finger might feel a bit stiff.
Yeah, it feels weird a little bit at first. Yeah.
Especially if it's new. But that's because you've done something significant to the joint to allow it to actually move a little more.
And then are we just holding that flat pressure, pulsing, or?
It's a good question. So you're trying to stretch a ligament, a volar plate. So that's going from here to here, joining these 2 bits of the bone. What you want to do is press gently enough to feel something and feel that something developing into something a little more, none of which should feel threatening or uncomfortable. And I'd say...
a happy stretch.
A happy stretch. Yeah, a safe stretch. You're going to hold it for 20 to 30 seconds and then relax and feel stiffness. And if that stiffness goes within 5 movements and the next one feels the same or better, great.
20 to 30 seconds, how many reps?
I normally like about 2 minutes worth of stretching. So if it's 20 seconds, you do 6 sets, and 30, 4. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you very much.
It's all right.
I like that.
Yeah.
If climbers want to try this, or anybody, I guess, you could do it before a session, after a session, every day. How long are we holding for?
Yeah, so I always like to...
What's the nitty-gritty of it?
There is some nitty-gritty. Normally, if you're introducing something new to something that feels very normal or established, you want to do it separate to any exercise. So whenever I'm doing rehab, you're doing something new, you're doing it separate to your climbing day to make sure your body adapts to it.
Yeah.
And normally, if you do this, it feels a bit stiff, but the next day it's fine.
Yeah.
great. That's something you can then put in before you're climbing.
But if it
should
doesn't feel
translate.
good the next day, you're not doing it right or something's not right.
Something more is going on.
Okay.
It's not a simple
So you need to go
stretch.
speak to someone. Okay.
Yeah.
So test number 2, what are we asking people to do? Can you
Do a hook fist.
hook fist?
Touch your fingertips to your pads without bending your hand knuckles.
So we want to keep this back knuckle straight, close. So to test it, do we curl like this fist and then go up, or keep those knuckles straight and pull down?
Keep it straight, pull down.
So not this, we want this nice and straight at the back.
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of this. I've worked
are
pretty
good at
hard.
it.
I've worked so hard for this. So I remember not being able to do this. And let's talk a little bit about, again, where if you feel like restriction, because obviously if you have an injury or maybe a genetic condition that isn't going to be something that you want to just stretch away or can just stretch away. So I guess there's caveats to where you feel that tension again in the stand.
Yeah, exactly right. So the thing you touched on with genetics is, arthritis, there's a genetic link to that. And it's like a 40 to 80% sort of transfer over for that. Saying that, if you're bending your finger in a hook fist and you're feeling a comfortable sense of tension wrapping over the back of the knuckles, and it's not painful, much like this not being painful, there are things you can do to actually train that tissue to improve, and you should be it's easy to measure. That's the nice thing about this test is you can do it, and then a week
I
later.
think that's why I like having a goal, and you can visibly see that like the goal is improving.
Yeah.
You can reduce this amount of distance between your fingertips and your palm. And I actually ran around the climbing gym yesterday, asked all the setters and climbers if they could close their fingertips to their palm, and so few could. So few had this full range, and none of them had pain as such. They didn't have injuries going on. None of them felt they had any genetic conditions. It was just a case of they'd climbed so much. Yeah. So what can these climbers do, and anyone watching here, to improve that? How can they get better range? What can they do?
So as a physio, I always like to know that what we're doing is actually working. So I always try and set up some benchmarking. So you can do it. It doesn't have to be really direct. If you're being really, really meticulous, you can do that and put a ruler there and see where your nail gets to and make a note of it.
That's like extreme.
That's extreme geek level.
Yeah,
if you don't want to
do that.
If you don't want to be a geek, then just do that and see if you can slide your finger underneath it. That's quite easy. And if you can, make a note of how it feels there when you're doing it. You can do it, but is it tight? So there are things that we can do for this that involve tensioning tissue directly to make it work, and then seeing whether it accepts the compression over the knuckle with less symptoms.
Okay, so if we've got that tension through the back, we can't close our fingertips to our palm. How do we stretch it?
Okay, so one thing that people often try to do is force their fingers into deeper flexion angles. And often that can irritate this tissue. They'll often say, it felt looser, but a week later, it's no different. And the big difference there is you're forcing tissue, which is involving straightening your fingers, to go somewhere it's not ready to go.
See, I thought this was like a great stretch for finger mobility, but you're saying there's maybe a better way.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you say potentially, but I think you mean actually yes.
This works more effectively than this.
So you mean actually yes?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Trying to be polite to everyone who's spent years doing that and got nowhere. Maybe this will work.
It worked for me, but I think there's definitely a better way. If you're saying there is, I trust you way more than anybody else. Let's see it.
Yeah, there's other ways, I suppose. But the idea here is you're trying to make the tissue which runs and attaches above this joint here work in isolation. So we would have you in this position with a pen placed here and just pushing on this joint, not there, and that's important, to make that tendon work harder.
Right on the back of the joint.
Yeah, right on the back of it, because there's other tissue which runs in and attaches above to straighten the end of the finger. We want to get to this guy, which means we push here. And just holding that tension there. There's no set way of doing this, really. You could rep it, you could hold it for time. But
what's your preference if you're going to choose one?
You do it more gently for longer periods of time because you're not.
And are we thinking that 20 to 30 seconds again?
Yeah, you're looking for long enough to see the tendon lose stiffness, become more pliable. So tendons generally get a little stretchier if you hold them for tension for time. So if you did 20 seconds on that and you went back and you did this and you could slide your finger in, but it didn't hurt, or the ruler showed that you were going further, that's an immediate effect.
Wow.
And the only reason that's worked is because the tissue has been engaged and then it tolerates being wrapped over the bone with less symptoms. A bit like rope drag over a cliff. You know, it pushes on the underside of the rope and frays it.
Total sense.
Yeah.
Thanks for explaining it in terms we understand.
Yeah.
So we can definitely improve that with exercises and doing this. So we've got the pen, we're stretching, holding it. And again, are we wanting to feel that like nice stretch, nothing too extreme?
Yeah, so with this one, you're allowed to feel some stiffness. Whereas with this one, we're not looking for any pain after. So it should just feel looser.
Okay.
And the next 20 seconds shouldn't feel worse with the same pressure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 20 seconds, again, a couple of minutes rest, working up to that 2 minutes. So we do 6 sets of 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And do we treat this totally separate to climbing initially still and keeping it all separate, working up to being able to do it more often, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a separate mobility session in its own right. It doesn't.
So we could do it this mobility separate to this mobility. Can we do them together?
Absolutely. Okay. Totally separate structures. Yeah.
Yeah.
But ideally, you do them separate to climbing because often when you climb, you develop a lot of stiffness, and at the end of the day, you feel it more.
Yeah.
And if this is something that tangibly improves and you carry over the gains as opposed to firefighting the whole time, then you've got more chance to see this directly translate into your climbing without having to prime it each time.
I really want to force so many of my friends to watch this video. I have so many friends that cannot straighten and close their fingers, like climbers that have been climbing for a couple of years or a couple of decades. And I think that it's just such an easy thing to improve, you know? And by easy, I mean, if you know how, then obviously you need to understand how to do it, but it's not hard to fit this in, right? 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And are we doing each finger one at a time?
You do the affected finger, yeah. And if you've got more than one, you just have to make the time for that. And some fingers will improve faster than others.
You say make the time, but 2 minutes per finger is not very long.
It's not much if it gives you tangible carryover. And obviously, some fingers are going to be more affected than others. And that might be for various reasons, like an injury. So if you've injured this ligament, it won't want to go there. If you've injured this tendon, it won't want to go there. And your rehab might be more complicated. Similarly, if you've got a family history of arthritis in the hands, you're more likely to see your fingers needing more of a break from volume and intensity and these sort of things.
Yeah.
But with those things set aside, there is no harm in doing this. And if it directly improves, you can expect further progress.
And we all want to see progress. And I feel like that percentage of people who won't be able to do it for those reasons, whether it's injury or genetic reasons, it's actually quite a small percentage of climbers. So there's a lot of people who can be benefiting. Yeah. And potentially those climbers who have injuries and genetic kind of conditions too could benefit, but they need to just seek advice.
Yep.
Book a session with you. This isn't supposed to be an advert.
Someone who knows what they're on about. There are plenty of them out there. Yeah.
When I think finger mobility, the first thing that comes to my mind, having done a lot of finger rehab, is tendon glides. Can you tell me what a tendon glide is? Is it beneficial? Why do I love them so much? Let's start with how do you do a tendon glide?
Tendon glide is basically a set of movements that's designed to take your joint through its full range, essentially. You think about it like a wave on the hand. Imagine a wave coming up and crashing onto the bottom of your palm and then drawing back all the way into that hook fist without one finger lifting up.
So we're going to go to the bottom of the palm, keeping contact, if you can, with those fingertips in the palm all the way through, and then straightening the fingers. And can they help with finger mobility?
Yeah, if you've got your prerequisites sorted, so you've stretched out what makes the finger stiff straightening, and you've primed the tissue over the back, then a tendon glide would supplement that. But a tendon glide in its own right won't get to the heart of those tissues we've talked about earlier.
So we need to be doing those first 2 stretches to get that mobility in that range, and then this helps us improve. It's almost like that's the stretch, and then this is the mobility.
Yeah.
It feels like, and I love tendon glides. I talk about them all the time. And I do a lot of tendon glides, and I like doing them before I climb to warm up. It feels like it actually like preps my fingers a little bit. Is that a good time to do them?
Yep.
Do you think if we're stretching on the non-climbing days, so getting our finger mobility, can we add tendon glides onto that, or do we want to do them before climbing? How many reps? Tell me all about tendon glides, because I love them, but I don't know why people don't do them more.
So if you're one of the people who benefits from what we talked about earlier, then, doing this for a couple of weeks will already start to make the fingers feel like they're looser.
Yeah.
And then essentially you're just making your tendons carry the joint through those ranges. You're someone who's very intuitive with how you climb, and you like patterns to check in with your body and make sure they feel good. And these make you feel good. And they're quite touchy-feely tendon glides. Some people don't like them.
Yeah.
Some people really like them.
Yeah.
And they feel primed when they do it. And so it is very much a case by case.
Are we doing all fingers at the same time?
Yeah.
Cool.
Just running through it, and reps and sets don't really matter with this because you're not going to get any...
You can't say that. People want to know how many reps, how many sets. Come on, give us some numbers.
Reps and sets, I think, are much more important when you're dealing with trying to achieve something really specific. And for tendon glides, they're quite non-specific, other than to make sure your finger joints work through a range. So, 5 by 5 would be a nice, easy number to work from.
5 reps of 5 sets.
Yeah, you're going to do enough to do something.
I think I do like 20 reps.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. But, yeah.
But maybe not 5 times, maybe like 3. But I think 5 by 5 is easy to remember as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's something. It'll get things warmed up, but it's not going to do too much of anything. When it comes to reps and sets, and finger health in particular, we've got a straight finger. We really want to make the finger as strong as possible in those more open positions. That's what's going to keep that joint happy and healthy.
Yeah.
The thing that translates to the wall. But in terms of priming off the wall or pre-climbing, this is perfect.
Right, back to the second question that I wanted to ask Huffy. Do you think all climbers can benefit from better finger mobility?
So if you've got one of the problems we've talked about, so an acute injury on the back or the back or the front of the hand, then that needs to be taken care of before you try and force the mobility.
Yeah.
And if you've got something going on, like an inflammatory joint problem or arthritis, then that needs to be considered when you're trying to improve your range.
So if you're one of those people, seek advice.
Yep.
If not, and actually I guess it could benefit you, but seek that advice. And if you're not one of those people, do you think that they can benefit from improved finger mobility?
Yeah, definitely. So if you've done these tests that we've talked through today and you found a quick improvement in the range of motion, then you can definitely expect that range to continue to improve to some extent. Who knows how much, but better than it was, a lot of climbers. Then yeah, for sure. If you're someone who feels they have benefited from this stuff and you're then employing the new range of motion onto the wall, any joint in the body that has better range and more strength is going to perform better and last longer. So yeah, for those guys, definitely.
Can you get more strength gains with more mobile fingers? Because could you potentially be putting yourself in a position where you could get even stronger by having more mobile fingers?
That principle is true for muscles. Muscles have got the best potential when they're at their longest range, where there's the greatest potential to then contract, and that will generate more force. So any joint that allows the muscle to open up through that range and be used through a greater range, then yeah, the performance is going to improve.
So yeah.
In a nutshell.
I like that you like to give the long answer. I'm like, come on, yes or no?
There's always nuance.
Huffy does not do yes or no answers. You may have noticed.
That's how we get to the root of little problems, though.
I know, right? And we've been through our fair share of
Yeah, definitely.
That's very odd. I've had a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
Here's a better question. Do you think we can make finger mobility cool? I don't think we can, but I do think it's beneficial.
I think we can make it more normal to have better range if we don't just accept fingers being stiff is something standard for climbing.
And something standard for climbing and something to be proud of. Like, that is not an achievement. We want to make sure that we're working on this just as much as we're working on our strength gains, I think anyway, but what do I know? The expert says yes. So we've been through straightening fingers, how to test and how to improve, closing our fingers, how to test that, how to improve. My favorite finger mobility exercise, tendon glides, and whether or not we think it can benefit you. I'd love to know how you get on with these exercises, if you try them, if you make gains. Huffy and I have worked together for a really long time and been through a lot of different injuries.
Yeah.
Kind of like tip of my head to the tip of my toe. Lots of different injuries going on there. So I feel like we could literally make this video for every single area of the body. So if you want to see more, maybe there's a series in this, if Huffy doesn't mind coming back. Let us know if you like him too. He's not too sensitive. You can comment. You can comment, like, and share. That's what I'm supposed to say. and subscribe. That's the one. I'll get there with these videos eventually. Thanks for watching.